I did not see that coming. Could Daniel Ricciardo have sanctuary outside of Red Bull? Well, if Will Buxton is to be believed, then yeah, that could be the case. And if it is true, then I bet right now Daniel Ricciardo will be going to Carlos Sainz. Oh, sweet, cheers, mate. Because the indecision of a certain Spaniard could be the ticket in not only saving Esteban Ocon's bacon for another year in F1, but also settling the ongoing tension at the Red Bull camp, which has basically become par for the course these days. Drama and Red Bull? Aren't they just one and the same these days? In this example, it's all to do with the ongoing dispute and uncertainty in regards to the 2025 Racing Bulls lineup. Somebody has been promised something, and somebody has been promised something else. Basically, Liam Lawson was guaranteed a seat by Helmut Marko for 2025, whereas Christian Horner's going, "What? We said no such thing." And now Liam Lawson's lot saying, "Well, actually, yeah, you did say something, and if you don't let our lad race, well, he'll go somewhere else." And now Helmut Marko's, "Well, I don't want him to go anywhere else, I want him here." So now, given what we've heard from Will Buxton, this might be the perfect solution, which keeps both drivers on the grid. Oh, and don't forget the shareholders as well. Basically, they've now decided what they want Racing Bulls to be. At first, they wanted them to be as successful as possible, spend the money, get high-name talent, and forget the junior team side of things. Whereas now, actually, they go, "Oh, no, wait, we are actually a junior team. Daniel Ricciardo, can you make room for Liam, please? Yeah, that'd be great." How that changed, eh? Needless to say, Racing Bulls are in a predicament at the moment, and it's not helped by Daniel Ricciardo neither blowing Yuki Tsunoda out of the water in regards to performance, but neither is Ricciardo at the moment underperforming outright. Well, at least not anymore. While Tsunoda has of course delivered a fair few points, and Racing Bulls are not that far behind Aston Martin, not as far as we would have thought, they're doing a far sight better than they did last year, Daniel Ricciardo is slowly catching up. And still, the gap is in advantage Tsunoda, but that could easily change if Tsunoda's mid-season slump continues, and Daniel Ricciardo just continues to pluck a couple of points here, a couple of points there. It all adds up. However, based on what we've heard now and this potential lifeline for another team, that might not be enough, and maybe by the time we come back from the summer break, Daniel Ricciardo may no longer be at Racing Bulls, and instead, he might be either waiting out the clock for 2025 like he was in 2022, or alternatively, he might find himself at another team, and then Logan Sargeant's been given the hook. And throughout all of this, Sergio Perez has been given a stay of execution, because at the moment, he's not doing so well. And given the uptick in Oscar Piastri and George Russell's performance, he could end up, the Mexican, in 8th place in the championship. 8th place in a Red Bull. I'm sorry, I like the guy, but that ain't right. And that potential position can easily cost Red Bull the Constructors' title. I mean, Max Verstappen's great, but he can only do so much. At the same time, Liam Lawson is waiting in the wings for a seat with the team in 2025, or else he's supposedly free to look at other teams for potential employment, with many rumors suggesting that he could be heading to the second Sauber seat, as well as Teo Pourchaire being considered, because, well, he is their reserve driver at the moment. But given that Audi has now taken control over Sauber, and the Sauber Academy is basically an anachronism at this point, I really don't hold out much hope for Teo actually getting the role. And I feel really sorry for this guy, I really do. He gave up a season in Super Formula to dedicate the remainder of the IndyCar season to McLaren, and then McLaren suddenly go, oh no, he was only filling in because, we want Nolan Siegel. And now Alexander Rossi's been thrown to the curb in favour of Christian Lundgaard for next year. It's like, what on earth is going on with McLaren? Since when did Zach Brown become so ruthless? The latest rumour though, and the inspiration for this video discussion, is that all of the problems facing Helmut Marko and Christian Horner might go away, or at least become a lot simpler, because the pundit Will Buxton dropped a hint that Daniel might be in negotiations with Williams for a potential lifeline, all in the wake of the growing speculation about its future. And again, this could be happening after the summer break has happened, and really? I didn't think his performances were that bad. I thought, yeah, sure, 2025 might be a little bit iffy. His time might be up by then, that this might be his last season, but to be ditched mid-season, like Nick de Vries was when he scored no points and didn't even get close to scoring points, whereas Daniel's now in the double figures, surely that would have been enough. Racing Bulls are in a solid 6th place, and that's one of their best constructors' results in a very long time, if not ever. And Daniel's 9th place in Austria was solace after the shocker of Spain's upgrade package for the team going disastrously wrong. That might not be enough seemingly, and it seems like maybe the Racing Bulls team wants to become a junior team again, because that's the only way they're going to be keeping Liam Lawson, because as Helmut Marko promised, and that promise has now come back to bite them in the bum, if they don't give him a seat for next year, like the Red Bull Junior had promised, then Liam Lawson, I think contractually, is allowed to go to other teams, that Red Bull will no longer have a controlling stake in him, because they haven't fulfilled their side of the bargain. But maybe him going to Williams might not be such a bad bet. It's not that far-fetched really, nor is it a really bad idea. Like with Carlos Sainz going to Williams, that in of itself is not as bad as you might think. I even made a whole video about it. They're not terrible, they're just working on things in the background. They'll get there eventually. I just didn't think it was possible, since Daniel had only said a few days ago that he hadn't been looking at any other teams, that it was either Red Bull or nothing for next year. Now either that means that Will Buxton's telling a few porcupines, or things have changed rapidly in the few days since Daniel Ricciardo made that quote of saying, "Oh, it's either Red Bull or nothing, mate," and things might have accelerated and realised, "Oh dang, I might not be in F1 anymore. Sad guy." All of this making his position at Red Bull untenable for 2025, and thusly, he is going to have to look elsewhere. Or maybe he's been made privy to some information that Sainz got that got him interested in James Vowles' operation in the first place. Wait, hang on, why would Williams want Daniel Ricciardo, Law? Surely they could do better than that. Well, I did think that too. It really did surprise me. I had not thought about Daniel Ricciardo at Williams at all, because over the last few months, any speculation of him going to another team that isn't the Red Bull camp had always been dismissed. Him going to Haas, that was dismissed by him, thinking he could do better, and then Gunther Steiner dismissed it, saying that he would cost too much. But then again, Williams did benefit from a Red Bull outcast, as well as the good word of George Russell in bringing back Alex Albon to F1 in a loan deal from the team, so he used to say that Horner might not do the same thing and send Ricciardo over to Williams as some kind of peace offering. Keep his head in the game, in case something happens with Perez, in which case he can easily be called back. But I'm not quite sure about that, because it's not said that Christian Horner is leading the negotiations. It's Daniel that has initiated the talk, as well as his team. And let's not forget the whole situation, the kerfuffle that Toto Wolff caused when Alex Albon was mooted to go to Williams for 2022. The only reason he ended up going there, that deal went through, was because he was told that he had to get rid of every single bit of association he had with Red Bull Racing. The only bit he had left was the drinks company, because Toto thought he might be a mole because of the whole engine situation. And now we've got Daniel Ricciardo coming along, going into 2026, when everyone's thinking that the Mercedes power unit is going to be the best one, and that maybe the new regulations might be prioritizing engine power now, grunt? Yeah, you think Toto will actually allow that, unless he completely divulges himself of Red Bull again? Dream on. The only way that this could work is that Ricciardo completely eschews himself of any involvement with Red Bull and Christian Horner, and maybe goes for some kind of 1+1 deal to make sure that he is ready in case Sergio Perez has dropped and Daniel Ricciardo can swoop right back in. Because if this turns out to be true and Daniel Ricciardo does sign for Williams, I doubt he's going to commit himself to a 4-year deal or a 2+2 situation, which seemed to be the case for Carlos Sainz, that he could exit the team after 2026 if they don't deliver the goods. Which makes me frustrated, because it's like, oh my god, that's a good deal, but then Alpine's matching that, so yeah, I guess they just copied and then added +1 to it, Alpine, didn't they? That being said, Ricciardo at Williams might be a solid bet, if not the most exciting. If Sainz doesn't subscribe to the Williams deal, you know, like you can subscribe to this channel for more videos like this, then the current crop of supposed partners of Albon are either Bottas or Felipe Drugovich, since Ocon's probably going to either Haas or Audi, as Vowles has apparently looked dimly on his antics as of late and not being a team player. Adding Daniel Ricciardo to the mix would be an interesting honey badger thrown amongst the pigeons. We already know how many races he's won, we know his commitment to any team that he's at, the morale he's able to boost, and of course him being extremely accountable. Whenever he's had a situation when he's been at fault, he's been quick to be putting up his hand and say, "Oh, sorry fellas, yeah, that was me." And he's very quick to get rid of any bad blood, because the whole thing with Yuki Tsunoda at the beginning of the season, that could have easily escalated, but then Daniel just went, "Look, there's no point bickering amongst this, it's only going to make things worse, let's just call a truce." So he is quick to diffuse anything, even the whole situation with Lance Stroll a couple of years ago, to which Lance Stroll has not paid back in kind. Because it's my personal opinion, my personal belief, that Daniel Ricciardo could have easily brought peace to the Renault and Alpine team had he just stayed there, because things were going really well. Things were looking up in 2020. He kept Esteban Ocon in check. The team loved him, and they were gutted when he chose to leave before 2020 even began. And they were really sad to see him go, and then we got Alpine, and then, well, you know the rest. Perhaps Williams could do with that sort of motivation, team playedness and cheery disposition. And also, him going to Williams, where they are right now, there would be fewer expectations made for him, because Williams is currently in a rebuilding phase. They are trying to get themselves ready for 2026, and if they turn out to be great, then Daniel Ricciardo can reap the rewards, end his career on a high if he chooses just to stay there for a couple of seasons. runs, see them through, give him his insight and experience alongside Albon, them finding solace that Williams gave them a second chance after Red Bull threw them to the curb, or more accurately with Daniel, he basically threw himself to the curb. Not to mention the same things that would have enticed Carlos would entice Daniel. The hirings being undertaken, the investments coming in, the updating of their facilities, the heritage of the team itself, as well as the current management, which is looking better and better by the day. Under the hood, there must be a lot to like about where Williams is going right now. Yes, of course, a few months ago, we were laughing at the idea of them using Excel spreadsheets to keep a catalogue of their parts, but that has probably since been completely deconstructed, replaced with something better, and of course, with the extra ATR time they've now got for being 9th instead of 7th, they can easily improve the car. And of course at the cost of prize money, but Doralton Capital right now are quite happy with their lot. And they must be easily a couple of years ahead of what Sauber are up to, because they're going through the extreme amount of pain that Williams were going through during 2022. And the biggest thing that makes me think that Daniel Ricciardo might be taken in by James Vowles, especially after what's been going on with Carlos Sainz, is that Ricciardo would probably want the job. He would take that opportunity with both hands if it kept him in Formula 1 and maybe gave him a chance for a decent car come 2026. Even though it's a Mercedes power unit, and he did have struggles with the Mercedes power unit at McLaren, but maybe the 2026 one might be different. He might be more used to it. He might acclimate better. I mean, come on, Williams is better than nothing, am I right? And again, I think Williams will appreciate the positivity that Daniel Ricciardo would bring. Him being given another chance with a different team, James Vowles maybe seeing something in the data, and maybe seeing what he can actually offer in terms of all of the other stuff outside of the track. Not to mention the fact that he would bring a lot of fans and a lot of sponsors towards the team, and I think James Vowles will easily take any single bit of money that they can get, even though they've got a big title sponsor now with Komatsu. I doubt they would say no to more sponsors. And quite frankly, I actually have faith that the project of Williams will work and will pay dividends in the long run. Maybe not next year, maybe not the year after that, but maybe in a few years' time we'll see Williams doing fairly decently again. And no, that's not me being British and the bias or anything like that. I think we all want Williams to succeed after James Vowles' turnaround, even though some of his decisions, especially with Logan Sargeant, have been extremely questionable. He has been quite ruthless, if not meritocratic. And then Logan reminding us all that a lack of upgrades from the team is really hurting his chances of staying in Formula 1 and getting higher than 9th place in the Constructors. But then again, last year, James Vowles didn't really care where Williams came in the Constructors. He would have been happy with 9th place, but then they got 7th, so, you know, it was a bonus. So if they do get 9th place this year, I doubt that James will lose sleep over it. Speaking of teams, the arrival of Alpine's counteroffer effectively acted like a test of loyalty for Carlos, in that Flavio Briatore's vest pocket manoeuvre to get Sainz interested in Alpine at the last second before they announced Williams' deal, that was meant to occur during the Spanish Grand Prix, really got tongues a-wagging. As a result of this sudden gazumping from Flavio Briatore over James Vowles, there were many reports coming out that Williams got really hurt by this, that they were sick and tired of Carlos Sainz's dithering. And that was not helped by Carlos Sainz clapping back in public, saying that he was going to take all the time he would need to make a decision. And then you hear him talking about being stressed out by the fact that he has to make a decision about his future. Even though, like, come on, Williams is a good bet. Alpine's a decent bet. I'll get to that in a moment. But Sauber though? Yeah, that's the vague one. Williams are probably going to be looking for other drivers now, with said drivers all around starting to get equally irate with Carlos's dithering. With Magnussen and Zhou in particular vocalising their frustration, with the former likening the Spaniard to being like a cork in a bottle. Because it's true, once Carlos Sainz makes his mind up about where he wants to go, all of the other drivers can then decide where they want to go, because right now, Carlos Sainz is available, and he would be any team's first choice, but so far, no team is Carlos's first choice at the moment, so there's this little bit of a stalemate here, which I think Sauber's probably sick and tired of. They've probably given up now, and Williams has now been scorned by it, and James is going like, well, he's not being a team player. Harumph. And now Flavio's just rubbing his hands and going, yes, yes. You see, I'm in two minds about Carlos taking so long. I understand that 2026 is going to be a big year for any driver, that he'd want to act carefully when it comes to his decision. You know, especially since Sainz had to make the decision because Ferrari just dropped him in favour of Lewis Hamilton. He probably wanted to have at least a year or two more at Ferrari to be able to see whether or not they were good and they were coming good with their 2026 car. Now, he has to find that out from the outside, and maybe hope that some other team might be even better. Which I doubt, but you never know. But at the same time, this has gone on far enough, and other drivers need to decide their fate in the sport, so come on, Carlos, don't be selfish. For me, things could get moving again if Ricciardo goes to Williams, because if he does, then Lawson gets into Racing Bulls, which would be the best for both parties, and for F1's bottom line, since Daniel would be still in the sport. Then Carlos could choose Alpine, because there'd be no contest between Alpine and Sauber, and then all of the other drivers, including Zhou, Ocon, Magnussen, Bottas, they can then decide where they want to go go and chase up the final Haas seat and the final Sauber seat. It's not exactly the most elegant of solutions, and there are going to be drivers who will miss out in this game of musical chairs, but given the fact that Oliver Behrman's now been confirmed from Haas, and I didn't make a video about it because it's probably one of the worst kept secrets in Formula 1 at the moment, it was too obvious, and then of course Logan Sargeant probably heading off to IndyCar next year, there are going to be a couple of casualties, with Magnussen probably being one of them, Zhou probably being one of them, since Haas is no longer interested in drivers who bring lots and lots of money, because Gene apparently has plenty of money and is now willing to spend it. We are going to see at least 2 or 3 drivers no longer being in F1. But having said that, Bottas is still a viable option for Valls over Ricciardo due to his knowledge of the Mercedes powertrain, his connection to Williams, and the data that James would be privy to. It would be a safe pair of hands for Bottas to be chosen over Ricciardo if Sainz doesn't choose to go to Williams and instead goes to Alpine, and right now, Williams probably needs a safe pair of hands in which to develop the car, develop the team, with somebody that James Valls knows, and somebody who knows the team already, albeit some things having changed since last he was there in 2016. Which driver do you think deserves the role, Bottas or Ricciardo? Because right now, both drivers are in the same place in their career. They're not at their best anymore, but they still maybe have 2 or 3 more years in which they can contribute something to the sport. Not to mention, they are very good in terms of meme content, especially Valtteri. Now he's been let loose from the Mercedes fold, and he can do jobs with Uber, grow a mullet, have a big moustache, and then just claim he's Australian. He can do that now. He would never been able to do that at Mercedes. The best that he could do is just say, I like porridge. And given Sainz's supposed snubbing of the deal for a hasty one from Alpine, I can imagine that Valls would be super determined in choosing a driver who he can rely on, and one that will want the seat and not be easily swayed if Williams offer a long-term deal. I think what probably put off Carlos Sainz from accepting the Williams deal over the Alpine one is the whole situation regarding immediacy of pace. Sure, Williams have made progress, and they can continue to make progress into 2026, but with Alpine though, the fall from grace has been sudden, and it's slowly being built back up again with quick hirings, their facilities not being terrible, more investment coming in, a potential Mercedes customer deal, which of course would be really good if Mercedes turn out to be the best power unit, and of course there's Pierre Gasly there, there's more management coming in, Flavio Briatore apparently was brought in from Bernie Ecclestone, so oh my god, Bernie's gotten in with F1 now, so oh my god, I did not see that coming. But maybe Carlos sees more opportunities at Alpine for them to suddenly get back into the midfield much quicker than Williams can, because they've yet to do that, although last year was pretty close for Williams. But Alpine, they could get back there, because it wasn't that long ago that Alpine were getting podiums, that it showed that last year, even though Max Verstappen dominated, the top 6 teams could bag podiums. So if Alpine can just get that little bit better again, podiums might be in the offing every now and again, which is better than nothing for Carlos. Right now, Williams and Sauber are not ready to score podiums. They're not ready to be even in the top 5, which could be the ultimate reason why Carlos Sainz doesn't go to Williams, and instead Daniel Ricciardo might have no choice but to go if he wants to stay in F1, if Liam Lawson is going to constantly pressure Red Bull, and Red Bull don't want to lose the best junior driver they have at the moment, save for Isaac Hadjar. Am I okay with this idea? I mean, sure. If Daniel finds refuge at Williams, he can have a safe haven in case Perez is dropped. But then again, that whole loyalty thing with Valls, Daniel should be wary of that. He would want probably Daniel to commit to the team entirely and not look at Red Bull longingly away from the fold just in case he could swoop back in or something, because otherwise James is not going to initiate any discussion whatsoever. So yeah, you could probably say that Daniel's choices right now are limited, but they are better than they were maybe about a week ago. Whereas his teammate Yuki Tsunoda, well, right now, given what Lance Stroll is doing at Aston Martin, he's practically got no choice left other than being the motivator for Checo Perez. Something that I outline more of in this video here that you can go and watch right now. Poor Yuki, he's got no say in this, has he? Really?